creature to be, going from art to design and back and forth. And so it's a great way for us to kind of come on the same page with a monster. I'm going to pass it over to Brian.
So, as Jay was saying, that's kind of where we start. How is this dude born? More importantly, how does he die? And in the in-between stage, that's kind of our job from a visual standpoint, is to try and make him read as best as possible for the 5 seconds that this character lives. And so really that's kind of where we start. We take all the design goals that they want. It's a very similar process to our hero creation process. We talk with story and what Leonard and his guys want to accomplish out of the history of where these creatures come from. And we take all that information and add the design of, is it a melee creature, is it a casting creature, you know, what kind of activity is this thing going to do on screen. And then we think to ourselves, okay, well, if our hero classes are this morally gray, I'm not sure if I really like them, they kind of look like bad dudes already type of guys, then just imagine what our enemies are going to look like. They need to look even worse, right? And this is kind of, for us, one of the most enjoyable aspects, because it's just crazy fun to come up with really weird creatures. I mean, we just basically reach into the depths of our deepest, darkest depths of our imagination and just spew out whatever we can think of. And it's usually probably what design and story was looking for, just the most mutated, nasty-looking, demonic thing, tasteful, of course, that you can possibly think of. So once we've gotten them into the stage of character concept, modeling, and stuff like that, we take it into our animation department, who are probably some of the most talented guys I've ever worked with, simply because, well, a lot of the creatures that we come up with aren't your typical, like, anatomically correct creatures. You know, they've got weird arms coming out of their heads sometimes. You know, their feet are where their eyeballs should be. Who knows exactly what's going to happen? But you got to make these guys animate and have them be believable in their own world. And so before we head into the Q&A session here, I'll just give you a quick glimpse of kind of some of our animations of all the characters in the real world, or in the world of Diablo 3 here. With that, I think we're going to start opening it up for Q&A.
Hi. I just want to know if you're going to make sort of small variations in the monsters. They're not all identical, and it kind of sort of more immersion and slightly more interested in killing the same thing hundreds and hundreds of times.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Can you. Sorry. If you're going to make small variations in the appearance of the monsters to improve the immersion.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the main goals is obviously to make this game as visually interesting as possible. And I'll talk about the art perspective. I don't know if Jay wants to chime in on what the design perspective is on making creatures diverse. But on the art side, it's, you know, we find it visually appealing if we can get, you know, the same creature to maybe have a couple of different looks depending on where in the world that they live. You know, it helps support that backstory, breaks up the monotony of killing the same, like, colored creature all the time. So absolutely, it's definitely a focus that we want to do or approach on the art side.
That's a good answer.
I was going to say it helps with the design because you can pick out creatures as well. But
yeah.
Whatever.
Well, see, he knows more about design than I do.
There you go.
Do you think you'll do anything to allow us to repick our skills?
Respec skills?
Yes.
We haven't made a decision on respecing yet. We haven't actually gotten to the point where we've even nailed down a skill system, but I will say that I think respecing is pretty awesome, and that's all I'm going to say on that.
Hello. I know we haven't really talked about the items yet, but I wanted to ask a question. In Diablo 2, every particular unique item had its own look on a character, and as all the people would choose the better gear, all the characters ended up looking quite the same. So I wanted to ask if the player would have, in Diablo 3, the option of customizing his gear without having to choose weaker items, because in Diablo 2, if you want to have a character that does not look the same as everyone, you have to choose weaker gear.
So obviously one of our core philosophies while developing Diablo 3 is to maintain kind of what made the Diablo series such a classic, and obviously the loot system is a big deal. And so from an art standpoint, what we're really trying to accomplish is at every stage, at every level of armor collection, whether you're at the low end or the high end, there will be some diversity within that range. To the extent at which we're going to be doing that, we're not quite sure yet. It's still a system that we're exploring, but it is definitely something that we're working on in terms of getting visual diversity throughout the sets.
Yeah, what I will, from the design side, add to that, you really have one of two choices when you're addressing this particular issue. You can either have your items be more status driven, in which case you don't allow customization, or you can have customization, but then your items are not really going to be status driven nearly as much. We really feel that the status driven model, which is the Diablo 1 model, Diablo 2 model, is the better model for this game. Not saying that it's bad to have item customization, but visual customization of the items is not something that we're planning for those reasons. However, as Brian said, we expect a lot more diversity in the items and in the look of them. And one of the things that if you watch the video, you'll probably notice is, unlike Diablo 2, the items affect the look of the slot they're put on. So it's not, in Diablo 2, really only the chest pieces and the helmets and the weapons change the look of the character. Now boots, gloves, shoulder pads, which we did add. We added pants, so you won't have to run around pantsless. So I'm probably killing the translator, so I'll just stop talking now.
That's my job.
The monsters and laws that have been established in Diablo 2 and in the franchises like D&D, will you be following them or will you be totally discarding them?
I'm sorry, I didn't
In
understand the question.
Dungeons and Dragons, you had the Diablo 2 franchise where lore had been set and stuff. Would they be followed in Diablo 3?
Oh, well, we follow lore from the Dungeons and Dragons guidebook from the...
For the Diablo expansion.
You know, do you know the answer to that?
Are you talking from a history standpoint or from a stats standpoint?
From a history.
I'm not fully familiar with that, and I don't know how it links up with our official lore. We are keeping as much of our official lore as everyone has heard. We might put a different spin on it. If we go a totally different direction with some lore, we will give a very good reason for it. We won't just change it and act like it was different all along. But I can't speak to how the D&D stuff was, because I'm not sure how much of that was interpretive and how much was actual our lore. So, but in terms of what you know from us, we're going to definitely respect it and continue on and not just throw it all out and start over.
Hello. I don't know if this critical question has already been asked, but here it is. Will there be a cow level?
Will there be a cow level?
Cow level.
Actually,
will
I
there
have
be
been
a top
asked that
secret?
before.
Yeah, we have been. Have we been asked that? I've
Yeah.
been asked it once, I think. So, will there be a top secret cow level? It's a secret.
Why did you choose to keep the isometric 3D view?
Because I think the simplest answer is because it's Diablo 3. And for us, we felt that's the game we wanted to play. That's the game we thought the fans would want to play. And it really fits with keeping the game approachable, exploring that type of gameplay. There's not a ton of isometric action role-playing games out there. It's a very small market. So, where there's lots of other types of, viewpoints and games and, that use other views. So we really felt that, we wanted to stick true to the Diablo series and do it that way.
Merci. Thank you so much, guys, for coming along tonight.